Well, hello. Okay, so I have had a couple of requests to do a video from start to finish. No fast forward. Is that fast forward? Yeah, fast forwarding through. Just keep it 100%. So it might get long, but if you want to see like my entire process from start to finish, then this is the video you want to be watching. All right, so I hadn't even put my moisturizer on. All I've done is tone my face. And I grabbed my little beauty counter toner pads, but whatever toner you have, as long as it's not cheap, because the cheap drugstore stuff broke my face out, so that's why I don't recommend it, then you should be good. Or if you're looking for a safer alternative, beauty counter. So there you go. All right, so this is my Charlotte Tilbury Magic Cream, and I normally like scoop with the back of my nail. Not a ton, just enough to like cover everywhere. And I kind of treat it like I would if I was putting on a primer, if that makes any sense. I want it to like be sure to cover the areas where I have larger pores. So this is the area that I have larger pores at. So I'm just going to make sure it kind of like skims across. I'm not pushing real hard my pore area, and kind of like get down in those pores to kind of help cover them up, if that makes sense. And now I'm just going to kind of like rub it in like I would any other face cream. I cannot imagine getting dressed and putting on my makeup without this stuff. And I have combination skin. I don't know what it does. It's just something amazing. Kind of wakes your eyes up. I do use this as my eye cream for daytime, just because not a lot of things have I found that doesn't like make me get oily or whatever during the day. So I stick to what works, you know what I'm saying? All right, so it does not take long for this to sink in my skin, and that is why I like it so much. It's because it doesn't sit on top of your skin. I feel like that's where it like messes up with your makeup. So while this is sinking in, normally what I do is go and like fix one layer of my hair. So I'm gonna go do that. I'll be right back. Okay, so I fixed a little bit of my hair and I let my moisturizer sink in just a little bit. It doesn't take long for my moisturizer to sink in. Some do. Mine doesn't. It kind of goes in kind of fast, but I still like to kind of break my steps up just a little bit just to be on the safe side. All right, so now this is what I use for my primer, and I love it. My only complaint is I wish it came in a bigger tube. So this is the Hourglass Retouching Veil in color Vanilla. And this is not necessarily made to be used like this, but I've really fallen in love with how it performs as a primer. So I put it on my problem areas. And the problems that I have larger pores in some areas. And then my pigmentation, which honestly I'm out of my color correcting concealer, which I would probably use right now if I had some. So I'm kind of using this as it. All right, so this is some of my brown spot areas that I'm putting it on, and then this is my larger pore areas. Now, I can't really see in this phone, so I'm going to break out a mirror and look, because this is the important part to me. I skim across my larger pore area, and I make sure that the primer falls into those pores. If you see like a bunch of pores through it, you probably just need to skim across it and let it lay in there a little more. And that doesn't mean a bunch of product, because you don't want a ton of product. So like I'm kind of even wiping product off. I'm just pushing, when I skim across, it's like pushing the product down in my pores. if that makes sense. I have a little extra on my brush, so I'm going to bring it a little lower too. All right. Now you see why I go through this so fast. All right, so I have already dampened my beauty blender, and how I do that is I put it underneath the sink when it's dry, and I squeeze while the water is running on it, and then I take a towel and I squeeze and get the water out. And that's how you get your beauty blender damp. And now I am pouncing my beauty blender on my face to blend in my retouching fluid, aka my primer. If you feel like it picks up some of your product, that's okay. You don't want a ton of product on your face. Just make sure it still has the coverage, which it does. I mean, it still leaves. It just I swear it just picks up the unnecessary product. All right, so now I have a good little covering on my face, and let's get ready to do foundation. Okay, so now I'm going in with my foundation. I like to use a buildable foundation that isn't too thick initially, but I can build it on the areas of my face that I need more coverage. So that's why I've chosen MAC Studio Fix. It's just, I don't know, it just blends out very well, and I feel like I can build it up on the areas that I have pigmentation and then not so much on the areas I don't need it, so I still get a full coverage. There you go, that's why. All right, so this is Neutral Warm 20. That's my color, so it's NW20. And why I still to this day don't know how much to squirt on my hand, I don't know. That's crazy. But I always have either not enough and I have to squirt a little more, or too much. What you gonna do? All right, so dab it in there. Now, what I like to do here is scoop my hair behind my ears. I don't like to go into the center of my, a lot of people do it different ways. Some people go into the center of their face. Some people go to the outer edge of their face. Well, I do it in between center and outer edge. I do it kind of like right in here. And the reason why is because I do not want, it's the point of impact, and the point of impact, you're going to have the most product. I do not want a ton of product sitting on top of my pores because I have larger pores right in here, and I don't want a ton of product in my hairline, so I do it in between. Now, if you don't have larger pores in that area, then you might can do it in the middle, you know, but unfortunately I cannot. So and I am still using this pouncing motion. I haven't done anything. Sorry, I got a phone call. I'm still using this pouncing motion. I haven't done anything different to my blender. It's still that same blender. Have not redamped it or anything, if that's a word. I don't know if that's a word. Anyway, and I'm literally pushing the product in my face. I'm not putting a ton of pressure. I'm just pouncing it. Just bouncing it on my skin. Now down here, sometimes I wipe, just because like I'm gonna put concealer over that anyway, so it ain't that serious. My tummy's growling. All right, I gotta get it in between my nose and my cheek. Okay. All right. If you can do this in natural lighting, that is ideal. Right now, we're in a rental house, until our house is finished being built, which we're in the process of finishing up getting bids and all that. So I hadn't even pushed the tree down yet. Yay. But, so I don't have natural lighting where I do my makeup, but if you can do your makeup in natural lighting, there is no light ring, no mirrored light that can replace natural lighting, in my personal opinion. Okay. Now, downside, if there's one downside to Beauty Blender, what is it? I mean, it's worth the trade-off, obviously. It takes a little longer. It just does. But good things take time, you know. Get my little wipey so I can wipe the makeup off my hands. I normally have a wipey nearby or a rag because I always get makeup all over my hands. And I always use my top of my hand for like where I put makeup at, you know, to use on my face. So, little tip there. All right. So, I have, I always get it caked up on my lips. I hate that. I have my foundation on, I have my primer on, and my moisturizer, and now I'm going in with my concealer. This is super important. If you haven't transitioned to doing a one shade lighter concealer under your eyes, and if you just hadn't went there yet, that is like game changer. Game changer, game changer, game changer. You need to do that. And I would also tie this into, if you haven't picked up Laura Mercier translucent powder or Kat Von D's okay, so like I was saying, if you haven't done this, the concealer under your eyes, and I mean, it just really makes the biggest difference. Super, like, game changer, like the biggest game changer, in my opinion. All right, so the concealer that I use, I have used a lot of concealers, and I'm not saying this is the only one that works, because it's not. Like, for the longest time, I used Urban Decay, and that is really good stuff. I use their foundation, too. It's just that my skin started changing a little bit, and I felt like I needed to change my foundation and my concealer, just to kind of do something different. So, if you're, like, not loving your makeup, and you've been using the same foundation and concealer for a long time, it might be time just to switch it up, because, like, I feel like sometimes our skin just gets used to it, and it doesn't perform the way that it did in the beginning. That's just my opinion. All right, so I use MAC Pro Longwear Concealer. This is Neutral Warm 15, so NW15, and that is one shade lighter than the NW20. All right, and I use more concealer than I'd probably do foundation. All right, so going in, just going right on it. And I normally start like on the outer edges of my eye, just so there's not like a ton gunked up in the center of my eye. I take it up on my temples, and then I take it on my forehead and on my chin. And then I take the remainder of it and dab it on my lower jawline. If I'm in a hurry, I skip the jawline thing. I think that's just like a little extra thing that we do to make our bronzers pop. All right. So this is the part you really gotta blend out. Now, if you have larger pores on the areas of your cheeks like I do, you do not want to bring your concealer down on top of that unless you're only gonna put like a really thin layer or blend it out really, really well. Because the more product you put on top of larger pores, the more they're gonna just like wave and like you're gonna notice them. And I'm flipping my Beauty Blender if I feel like I have a lot of product in one area and I need it to pick it up a little bit more. So there is like a little bit of a color difference between my concealer and my foundation. It, in my opinion, is just enough to get that brightness. Now, I literally 100% cannot imagine letting this be the end result. If you do not use setting powder, I don't know if it's going to work. I just don't. I feel like it's not, well, it's not setting it. I feel like it'll just like melt off your face. Like setting powder does exactly what it says. Setting, it sets it. So take your Laura Mercier powder. I do this pretty quick. Like I don't leave time between. Like I don't go fix my hair again. Like I jump on this because I want this on my face while my concealer is still damp. Dip it in there, an ungodly amount. And like I said, I bake every single day. No, you don't have to do a ton of it, but a layer of it, it not only does it brighten up your eyes a good bit, but it also catches fallout. Now, if you get more wrinkles like right underneath your eye, just put like a tad, just to like what they call like a veil over that area. Don't put a ton, just because the more product, it's just more product, and it will make that area like show up more. You know what I mean? So I'm pretty quick with this. Like I don't wait around. I don't make phone calls. I jump on it. I'm still dipping into that cap. Now I do kind of rub this on, kind of like a layer of it. It's the only time I don't like tap it on is down here. All right. Make sure I got everywhere. Now, now you have to have setting powder over wet stuff. I can't not do it over wet concealer. So if there's any area that you need to take like a little powder brush and just veil, like put a nice veil on your face where you don't really see it, but it's just like setting the liquid foundation and concealer, then you need to do that. Now, I'm taking my beauty blend, not a beauty blender, I don't want to make my Laura Mercier Velour Powder Puff. I dipped it in my Laura Mercier powder, and I am kind of like focusing in on my pores. So, even though my pores are looking really good today, I am still going to use this. And what I'm doing is I'm pressing and kind of like rolling a little bit, not just a ton. Because my goal is to get it inside those pores. Makeup is going to get in your pores anyway, so don't freak out and be like, ooh, that's gross. I mean, it's kind of gross to say it, but now, you look like a powdery hot mess right now. That is okay. That is just fine, because we've got a lot of work to do, and we are going to wipe off all this excess, so don't freak out, okay? So now, did I put all my stuff on? Let me grab my bronzer. All right, so I really need a spray tan, so I apologize that I'm so white. I also take my little, as long as there's no makeup on it, my little wipey, and get my extra translucent powder off of me, because it gets everywhere. All right, so now what I'm going to do is do my bronzer. This is my favorite brush to use for bronzer. I have jumped back and forth and done several different things, but this is just the one I like the most. This is my favorite bronzer. It's way better when I have a tan. Hoola by Benefit, that is a really good bronzer as well. I just don't like the container that it's in. I can't get my brush down in there, and then it's just awkward. But I love the powder, so I try to make it work. All right, now when I'm doing my bronzer, this is a matte bronzer. And when you have a matte bronzer, you can use it as a contouring powder and a bronzer. So, there you go. If you have a shimmer in it, or it's like real sparkly, you cannot use it as a contour. And what contour means is you're going below the bone to kind of like kind of chisel out your cheekbone. And it kind of pushes that area back. And when you put like a shimmer, it's going to make it pop a little more. So it'll do the opposite effect. So that's what I mean by contouring. So I'm going to take it, do this, and if you feel like you have a lot, just kind of like tap it off. And I just kind of go in initially pretty heavy with it, because I'm going to blend the mess out of it in just a little bit. So I get it on there. The higher you go on your cheekbone, the more natural it looks, if that makes sense. I'm doing like little short circular motions just so I don't have any stripes. And I'm staying under and above that cheekbone. I'm not coming in to my pore area. This is, now on you, you might not have this issue, but you still wouldn't bring your bronzer in right here. But if you have larger pores right here, if I put bronzer on it, oh my God, I cannot even imagine. So don't do that. The reason why I like this bronzer so much is because it's the Becca, I can't say the word, Ipiana Sun, is because it doesn't take like a bunch of product to like get it to show up. It's really pigmented. All right, so I got it high up on my cheekbone in that area. I'm going to blend it out because it looks like a hot mess right now. And then I'm going to take it and I bronze like kind of in this area. And there is a certain technique to bronzing and contouring and highlighting depending on your face shape. And I have a tutorial on it and some graphics if you need to know. I can send them to you. All right. And then I'm also going to take it underneath my chin and underneath my jawline. Because keep in mind, it's a matte bronzer. So it's going to let this sink back in and not pop out. And we don't want our little jiggly chins popping out. Okay. So that's really pretty. I like that. Now keep in mind, I'm still going to go back and blend some more. But at least that kind of like gets it started for us. Now what I do, so you notice how I did not come in like, I guess at the edge of my eyeball out is kind of how I took it. Now if you have, this is driving me crazy. I normally don't do this, but since I'm in a video, I don't want to look scary. It looks scary no matter what with all those stuff on. Anyway, so blush. What they say with blush is it's supposed to be 2 fingers out from your nose. But that is not, I believe personally, in my opinion, that is not for every single case, because you do not want to apply blush where you have like larger pores or extra texture. That or highlighter or shimmer bronzer. Do not do that. So you're going to have to use that as a rule of thumb. Okay, so they say 2 fingers and then you apply blush. Apples are your cheeks, and then I kind of mix mine in my bronzer. Now, I do not do that rule because I have larger pores in that area and I want them to disappear, not stand out. So if you do not have that problem, then you can like dust it on the little outer apples of your cheeks and it'll be so cute, and you can blend it in your bronzer and you'll be ready to go. But I cannot do that. So I'm going to take my, this is MAC Warm Soul. It is my favorite. I feel like it goes for any skin tone. Like, it is just gorgeous. I love it. It's their mineral blush. And then I use like this little kabuki brush. And I just kind of like, not a ton, but just like a little bit, mix it in my bronzer. I feel like that the more colors you put on your face to blend in together, the better, because I do not want it to look like I just took like 2 big orange streaks and put them on my face, if that makes sense. So I'm going to just go in a little bit right now, and then I'm going to go back later and I'm going to buff it out. This is a firm, stiff brush, and I love this to buff out my bronzer. And I'm just literally taking it and kind of squeezing it and going right on that line, because I don't want really a harsh line there. Any area where you're like, I can kind of see like a little line, then take a big firm brush and go to town. All right, so I still have my loose translucent powder on my face. I still have to blend some more. I'm going to go back a little bit more with bronzer and just kind of like, just so it's, and then when I have very little left on my brush from doing all that, I'll go back and I'll tap it on my nose. Now, I know a lot of people like to put highlighter there, which is fine. You could do that. But I like for it to look like I have like a natural tan, which I do not. And so any high points of your face is where you would get tan. And so that's why I did these areas, if that makes sense. All right, so now we are going, I feel so weird doing every single step in one video because I know it's going to be forever long. So I apologize, but you might want to see it. So now I'm going to go in with, let me go spray my roll brush from my eyebrows. So I take this little roll brush and I just spray hairspray on it and brush my eyebrows up. So let me just go spray this. Okay, so I sprayed it really good with hairspray. I do this, a lot of people can use brow gel and just whatever and go. Something's wrong with my eyebrows. They will not stay up, so I have to use hairspray. The goal is to make them stand up as much as you can. I literally cannot stand it when my eyebrows fall. I need my eyebrows like wax, so I apologize in advance. And I'm trying this, oh, there it is. All right. After I brush them up, I go in with my Anastasia Brow Wiz. I break the end off somehow. I have literally no idea. And this is in soft brown. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on creating a line underneath my brows. I don't want to come in all the way because I feel like that makes it look a little bit more like you drew your eyebrows on. So let some of that natural hair kind of like do the work for you at the beginning of it. But I do start right here. And I'm just going back and forth on that same line. And then I'll do some short hair-like motions on the areas where it's more sparse. All right, so I'm trying to get that line in. Just to kind of create like a sharp line underneath. And then go in with short hair-like motions. Now, I don't like to do a line on the top because I feel like they look overdone. But there's one area on my brows that kind of like needs some work, and that's right here. So I'm going to kind of help it at the top. Now the tail, I do like to do a line on top. Just because I like the tail to be sharp. All right, so that's one eyebrow done. Very little effort, and the other one is all natural. So as you can see, that's why I do my eyebrows. You don't have to get all crazy. You can just do the little line if you want to. And let me show you the difference that it makes just by doing the line. See how I cleaned it up? And then you could take your little spoolie brush and kind of like grab that line and pull it up into your brows to blend it in a little bit more. But that line is so important. Now, I'm not an all natural girl, so I'm going to fill it in. Short hair-like motions. Now, I also have brow pomade that I like to use. I feel like it kind of like, more than one product kind of makes it blend in a little bit more. So I go back in with this little Anastasia spoolie brush that has the angled brush on the end. And here it is. My Dip Brow Pomade in Soft Brown by Anastasia. I need to put some lipstick on. It's driving me crazy. This is what it looks like. I've used it a bunch and I just don't get a lot on my brush, so it lasts forever. So this is kind of like what I do. Like that's even probably too much. Like just do a little bitty dip in it. Okay. And now I'm just going to kind of like bring it the angle at that line and like brush up. Because I don't want you to see that sharp line. I want there to be a sharp line, but I don't want you to see it. And on the other side of the line, it be like a different color. And this is the area where I really work on my tail. I need to work on my tail anyway, because it is looking a hot mess. You want it to go sharp. And how I do it is you're going to want it to end about where your eye would if it's going in a straight line. And your arch, I believe they say, is on the outer edge of your iris. And if you do a straight line, that's where it should be. And then my eyebrows are really too short, but it's on the other side of your iris. It should go to that. So now I'm going to try to get that little sharp edge. And if mine looks man-made on the edge, then I'm okay with it. Because I do like that clean look on the edge. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing here. Just tiny dips in that pomade. I need to get my microblading freshened up. All right, so that worked. So my eyebrows are done. I don't have to do anything else to them. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put on my lipstick because it's literally driving me insane not having any lipstick on. My go-to lately has been the Velour Lips by Jeffree Star. I have yet to find another formula that I like so much. Unfortunately, it's a little pricey and it's not just real easy to get your hands on, but it is worth it. I'm just telling you. I am telling you, it is so worth it, in my opinion. This is the color Mannequin. I feel like it's like a good nude. It's in between like a baby pink and a true nude. I say in between. It really does dry kind of dark on me, so I'm going to take the little doe foot and I'm going to line my lips first with it. Okay. Now I'm going to go back with the little dipped in part of the foot. I don't know if you can see. Goodness, this is such a pretty color. I love it so much. So just kind of like let it dry. And that is literally all I have to do. I hadn't even been contouring my lips because I just love that color so much. It's so pretty. Like, it's just pretty. All right, so I got my lipstick on. I would probably right now go and like finish curling the second layer of my hair, but I'm not going to because I'm gonna go ahead and let's get through this video and then I'll show you the end result. Today I have on my little Valentine's shirt and I thought it would be fun to do this is one of my favorite palettes. It is Morphe N9 About Last Night and I love it. So I thought it would be fun to use this palette to add some reds and all that. So let's get it going. Now I'm going to use the color Provocateur, which is the lightest color that kind of like will match your skin tone. And I'm going to kind of like set my eyelid with it. Big fluffy brush, windshield wiper motions. kind of like set my eyelid. You know, one thing I truly forgot. Why am I so crazy? If you have an area on your face where you get like more oily throughout the day, this is the baking process. I really haven't baked at all today, and I normally do every single day. Is you add more translucent powder to that area, like clumps of it. So like I get more oily like right in here. So I would take that with my beauty blender and add chunks of it right in that area and let it sit there until I'm 100% done with my makeup. But of course, today when I'm doing the video, I forget. I was just thinking, I am doing so good. I remembered everything because like it's a lot of steps, so it's hard to remember sometimes. All right, so I got it all set on my eyelid. And I enjoy doing this. So if you don't want to spend time doing it, hey, I get it. It's just something I enjoy. I like putting on my makeup. So there are steps you can skip if you prefer not to like sit in front of your makeup mirror and do this. But I enjoy it. So there you go. All right. So now I'm going to take another big fluffy brush, because I'm going to be going back to that to blend in my eyeshadow with that lighter brush with that provocateur color. So I don't want to use it for this next step. And I'm going to take and get a transition shade. I am going to use Showtime, which is that one right there, with this brush. I love mixing like terracotta colors in with pinks and reds because it doesn't look terracotta when I finish. Oh, I just love it so much. Anyway, so I'm taking the point of impact as the outer crease and I'm blending. Windshield wiper motions, little small circle motions with a light hand. Don't push that brush down. Just let the little hair bristles or whatever you call them do their work. Okay, same color. Gonna bring it down on in the crease still. Just trying to get a good transition shade going. Now, I am going to use this brush because I'm just going a little bit darker and I'm using Make Out. And I am focusing more in on the outer crease with this color and not really bringing it really on my brow bone. I'm kind of keeping it underneath there. Still with a light hand. Not going into my inner crease, staying on my outer edge. And now I'm going to take what's left on the brush and I'm lightly going to dust it on my outer edge of my lash line. Did I have sleepy in my eye this whole time? Probably. Sorry about that. And then I'm going to like just a smidge on it so I can do the other eye. All right, so that looks good. Now what I'm going to do, I love, 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 if you follow me at all, you know I love to do this. I just think it looks so good. Where's my brush at? Here it is. All right, so I'm taking a more flat, fluffy brush. If you can tell, it's not super flat, but it's kind of, but it's the Morphe M433. And I'm going to pick up Hot and Crowded, which is the red, just like this. Take that flat belly of the brush, which the belly of the brush is like right there, and I'm going to pick it up just like that. Oh, it's so pretty. And I'm going to pack my lid. That's what they call it, packing your lid. And you're basically pressing it into your eyelid. And you're gonna look like you have like a rash on your eyelid for just a minute. Go to the next one. I never thought I would love red on my eye, for my eyeshadow, but I seriously love it so much. And now that I'm thinking about it, I should have done a baby pink lipstick. I'll have to go back over it. I don't like to get too matchy-matchy with it. Okay, so now I'm going to go, I have it on my eyes, and it doesn't look good right now. It really doesn't. So I'm going to go in with Provocateur, which is that lighter color, and I'm going to clean up my edges just a smidge, very light-handedly. So don't try to press it down in there, and I'm just literally buffing the edges out, okay? This is what takes it from looking like you have no idea what you're doing into, oh, okay, that looks really good. I see what you did there. You know what I mean? So now I'm going to go back in with Makeout, and I'm just going to hit that outer crease again just to make sure you still see the transition. I'm going to bring it down just a smidge on my lower line as well, just to kind of clean that up just a little bit. That is so pretty. And I like to bring the my transition colors and take them from my outer lower lash line and kind of like blend up, and that kind of helps me like bring my eyeshadow outside of my pocket. Eye socket, not pocket. Because if there's one thing that I do not like, that is looking like you have a big ball of color where you didn't blend. All right, all I'm doing is all I did was take the brush where I got the Hot and Crowded and just kind of blended it a little bit more. All right, so after I do that, I still want it to blend just a little bit more. This is like my favorite shade in the world, and it is in the Subculture Anastasia Beverly Hills, and it is the color Cube. And it looks a little scary, but it is so fine. I just love it so much. I'm taking a brush that I use. I always save this one for lighter colors, and this is going to be my inner corner color, and I'm just tapping it on my lid and a little bit above it with this color. You see what it did? It like made it blend. Oh, it is so fine. So I kind of see a little bit of a line, and I'm just going to go back in with that brush and just tap it on that line, and that'll help it blend a little more. Oh, that is so pretty. I love it so much. All right, so here is one thing I forget literally all the time, and I have no idea why. Why? Like, if you do makeup, like, as a blog, you don't forget eyeliner, right? Well, I do. I don't know why. I don't know why. Like, oh, what's wrong with me? Anyway, so I'm going to stamp it on my lash line, and I use, just because I go through eyeliner so because I love eyeliner. I don't know why I forget it, but I go through eyeliner pens so much. So I started getting Black Track Pro Fluid Line, Pro Longwear Fluid Line by MAC, and I love it. So, looks like this. I'm getting a sharp edge brush I'm going to use to stamp it on my lash line, because I don't want to get too crazy. I'm going to work. I know you're like, you are already past crazy, but you know what I mean. And when I stamp, I do like a little wiggle motion to kind of get it in my lash line. I'm bringing it down and painting it on my outer waterline. That just sounded really country. My outer waterline. And this is like by preference. Do you like to go all the way in with your, what's it called? Eyeliner? Then you could bring it all the way. I don't like to. I only like to keep it on my outer edges. I feel like it elongates my eye and makes them look more almond shaped. All right, so now I always do this, and some days I forget, but I love to buff out my little line. I don't want a harsh line. So I'm going to take the color DJ in here, which is the darkest color. Is that the darkest? Yeah. It's like a brown color, and I'm going to use a pencil brush and just kind of pick some up. And I'm just going to, on top of that line, I'm just going to buff it just a little bit, okay? Don't get too crazy. But right on top of that eyeliner. That just softens the look a little bit, where it doesn't look too harsh. And you notice I'm not using a black because I'm trying to soften it, the look. If I was going for a super glam, I would do black probably. The most that I bring this is through the iris. That's the most. I don't go down in the corner. It just doesn't work for me. Okay. So now I wanted that contrast on my eye and my lip. So I'm going to add some Jeffree Star Skin Tight. And this is the velour lips. Because there are a couple ways you can match your eyeshadow and your lip stuff. Your liquid lips or your lipstick, you can do matching, which is fine. A monochromatic look, which is a couple different shades off, or you could do like opposite end of the color wheel. So if I did like a really deep like burgundy, I could go in with a baby pink and it'll look really good. So there's really no rules. I mean, there's rules, but they like hit every aspect. So this, when you don't have another color underneath it, is super baby pink, and I love it. All right, you see how the lighter just kind of like balances that a little bit. So now let's do mascara. BRB. Okay, so I use a primer, and it's a cheap one from drugstore brand, and then I also use drugstore mascara. Not saying there's not better ones out there, but I run out very often, and I need some super quick, so pick it up on my Kroger. All right, so this is L'Oreal Voluminous, I can't say that word, primer, and I do one eye at a time because you do not want this stuff to dry, or it will not work, in my opinion. Might work for you, but don't work for me. Now, I go pretty heavy with this stuff. I feel like it adds so much more to your lashes. And this is the time where I try to make sure I brush through my lashes really well. All right, and then I'm going to do just a touch on the bottom outer edge. Once again, I'm so sorry. This is the longest video of my life, but you know, I had some really sweet friends want a video from start to finish, no speeding through. So All right, here we go. Because I added so much primer, I don't have to do a ton of like going all the way through my lashes with this. I just kind of like cover the white up. Because it never fails. I always get it on my eyelid, and it makes me so mad because I can never get it back the way that it was. Okay. Kind of buff in some of that cube color. All right. Here's one eye. I 100% do one eye before I move on to the next eye. 100% of the time. If I don't, I'm stressed trying to get it done in a timely manner, because once this stuff dries, I just don't think it works as well. It doesn't on me. Like, it doesn't work at all, honestly, on me if I let it dry. And if you get the white on your eyelid, then it's not that big of a deal. But getting black off, Lord have mercy. That's the situation. All right. I just barely touch it to my lower lashes. All right, I probably could use some work on these, but it's fine. You know what I mean? Okay, so got my mascara on, got everything done. Now I want to wipe off my extra translucent powder because it's 100% done. With a very light hand, this is a clean, fluffy brush. I'm just literally like brushing through where the translucent powder was applied. Okay. So now if you're finished and you're like, okay, well, yeah, I look pretty, but I look a little powdery. You know what I'm going to say. All Nighter Urban Decay. Oh, I love it so much. Whew. I sprayed one right in the center. And then immediately start fanning. This like takes that powder and like blends it into your makeup. I really don't get it, but that's what it is. All right, so I'm gonna go fix my hair and then I'll show you the end result.